in West Africa, where former soccer star George Weah wept with joy on winning Liberia's presidential election. He prepares to succeed incumbent Ellen Johnson Sirleaf next month. The National Election Commission chairperson confirmed that 98.1% of the votes had been counted, with Weah leading with 61.5% to Bokai's 38.5%. Weah grew up in Clara Town slum in Monrovia and went on to become the only African to win FIFA World Player of the Year. His rags to riches story helped him tap into dissatisfaction with Johnson Sirleaf's 12-year tenure. Weah's critics, however, say that he's offered few concrete policy proposals, and his running mate, Jewel Howard Taylor, ex-wife of warlord Charles Taylor, has also raised eyebrows. Well, George Weah's supporters took to the streets celebrating the lead in the presidential runoff. This is the country's first democratic transition in over 70 years. Weah takes on the presidency after incumbent Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's 12-year run, which left many with mixed feelings. Now Weah walks into the presidency with supporters expecting him to score highly for a nation that has 80% of its population living on less than $1 a day.
This was the moment word got out. Former international footballer George Weah had built an unassailable lead. Spontaneous celebrations broke out across Liberia's capital, Monrovia. Moments earlier, in its first briefing since polls closed, the Electoral Commission announced Weah had won 65% of the vote in 11 out of 15 counties, with Vice President Joseph Boakai garnering 38%.
The total vote, CDC 720,023, and the Unity Party 451,088. Invalid votes 27,873. Total votes 1,198,984.
It has taken Weah 12 years to clinch the presidency. His supporters are ecstatic.
Everybody knew that it was going to happen one day, and this day are going to pass.
A sharp contrast to those who backed Boakai.
Well, the voice of the people has been heard loud and clear. We thought that our vice president was the best alternative for this country. But for the fact that people overwhelmingly voted for Ambassador Weah, it means that the people, the will of the people should actually persist over whatsoever we thought.
I'm very, very disappointed because for Unity Party.
Weah's campaign appealed to the youth. But now comes the hard part. Liberia is one of the poorest countries in the world. More than 80% of the population live in extreme poverty, and hundreds of thousands of children are out of school. And many will be hoping George Weah can't deliver his campaign promises on the economy, education and health. As the celebrations continue all over the Liberian capital of Monrovia, the question now becomes, will Joseph Boakai concede defeat, or will he challenge the result in a court of law? Robert Nagila, CGTN, Monrovia, Liberia.
Well, let's get you more details on this from CGTN's Robert Nagila, who now joins us live from Monrovia. Robert, there were celebrations from Weah's supporters with the announcement of the results. Have we heard from Vice President Joseph Boakai's side? What's the latest there?
Well, Karen, we are yet to get a proper statement from the Vice President. As you can imagine, the last few hours have been deeply disappointing, not just for him, but for his supporters as well. Now, we expect the final results to be out at some point today. Yesterday, the Electoral Commission chairman said that 3 counties had yet to finalize their tallies, so they were expecting them to come in today. Presumably, at that, I beg your pardon, presumably when the Vice President finally makes his remarks regarding this election and whether he feels it was free, fair and credible, we also expect to find out whether he intends to concede or to challenge the result in court. Now, if he does not challenge that result, he has 7 days in which to do that according to Liberian law. But if he does not do so, then we expect George Weah, the former international footballer and now president-elect of Liberia, to be sworn in January on the 15th, 2018. Karen?
And Robert, George Weah is better known, as we know, as a football star than a politician. What do we know about his politics and what he actually stands for?
Absolutely. Well, he's been trying to take a stab at the presidency for the last 12 years. This was the second time around, and he's made it in. Immediately after news began to go around that he had won this election, he put out a statement on Twitter. I'm just going to read it very quickly for you. It says, "My fellow Liberians, I deeply feel the emotion of all the nation. I measure the importance and the responsibility of the immense task ahead, which I embrace. Change is on." And that's just it. There is a huge weight of expectation on his shoulders. And many people here today are asking whether he can actually deliver his campaign promises. Now, we had a chance to go out onto the streets to ask Liberians exactly what they expected of their new president once he was elected. And this is what they had to say.
The first one already. The next government, I would like to see youth empowerment, talking about people working, not taking good salary. I want for labor, for the government to improve the labor system.
In the first 100 days, I would like to see system, because within Liberia, we lack a system, we don't have system. Yeah, whenever there is system, you're going to see things moving smoothly. You know, it helps to also bring investors like we were, encourage the living system of our country.
The first thing I want for him to do, the road, let him see about the road condition. And the second one, the money changing business, the rate is too high. And the third one, we want electricity and school. Our children should go to school free.
I would like for the president to pay key attention to agriculture, for us to grow more food, to be able to self-sufficient ourselves, to feed ourselves as a Liberian. He must pay more attention to agriculture.
Now, that wish list that you just heard there from ordinary Liberians just goes to show you the enormity of the task ahead for George Weah and his incoming administration. There's so many problems in this country. It's one of the poorest countries in the world. Most of the population lives in extreme poverty. So he's got a major challenge on his hands. The question now is, what does he start with first? Does he start looking at the economy first? Does he start with education? Nobody knows. We'll have to wait until he's settled down and releases his new policy statement on what areas or what particular areas he intends to tackle immediately. Karen?
Okay, thank you very much for that update. That was CGTN's Robert Nigila there joining us live from Montreal.